Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel, Minimum Player Count. I am Stephanie and today we're doing a video that I've been wanting to do. It is involving some of my favorite two-player games. Now, I do have more games behind me that I haven't played yet, so before I hear in the comments, I haven't played all of these games yet. So if one of these is your favorite two-player and I haven't played it yet, it won't be in this game list here. Now, another disclaimer, not all of these games are solely two-player games. These are games that I have played at the two-player player count and have enjoyed, played multiple times, or thought it was just a great game at that player count. So I'm going to give you some suggestions of games that I like at that player count and some games that maybe you can introduce to, significant others or even friends if maybe you're a solo player and you want to play with somebody else. So let's start with this list of games that I like. I will give you a little bit of information about each of these games. I'm not going to give you too much of how the game plays or works. I'm just giving you a list of what games I've enjoyed and, hopefully give you a little bit of guidance on if you like this game or not. So there's no particular order to this list, so I'm just going to go and we're going to just talk about them all. They're going to be 11 games unless I magically think of one while I'm doing this video and make it more than that. But let's see. We'll just start with this one, Dinosaur Island. Now, I have played this at two-player, and I love this game because not only does it have options for fast games or even longer games, it has a lot of replayability with the theme. I love the dinosaur theme on this. It is a very quick game if you want it to be, or it can be, like I said, more in-depth to it. There is strategy involved with this. You're trying to build your own, dinosaur park, and by placing tiles of these dinosaur types of attractions in there to attract visitors to your park, and you're supposed to get points by making them all. You have these DNA dice that you're trying to kind of manufacture different dinosaurs and things like that. So you're managing multiple different avenues with this game. Though this game does go up to 4 players, I really enjoyed the way that it plays, and again, the fact that you can make this game longer or shorter, which is something that not a lot of games actually do, and I really appreciate that about this game. So, Dinosaur Island, one of my favorite two-player games. Now, Sorcerer City. Sorcerer City is a real-time game. This is where you're trying to build your own city with tiles, and it's kind of like a tile building because every game level you'll start either buying more tiles to add, and then certain levels you also add monsters which can help destroy your city and ruin some of your gameplays that you have. While you're playing, there's a timer going if you want. If you don't want to, there is the option to not have a timer, but you're trying to actually build cities by colors, and some of them will tell you make a straight row of these colors. Other ones will say you could do it in an L shape, and other ones are by certain seals that they have on there. So getting those points every turn, you get in certain areas, then you spend them to get more tiles and more points and things like that. This game for me is very addicting. I've played this with more players than just the minimum player count for this, and I've really enjoyed it. Sorcerer City is a really fun game for a real-time game that just adds enough pressure to it to be fun and not too stressful for me. Kulami. Kulami, I was very happy to get this from Foxmine Games. They sent this to me with some other games, and I fell in love with this game pretty quickly because it has strategy, but it's simple enough to where what you're trying to do is you're trying to place marbles to gain majority of points in certain sections, because there are different tiles that come apart, and so when you're actually calculating the points at the end of it, it's whoever has the most tiles and that is the victor of this game. But you're very strategic in your placements. You can either place vertically or horizontally next to the person who played last, but you cannot place in the same place that they have placed, and you cannot place in the area that you have been before. So you're trying to gain majorities of certain places while also trying to be strategic with where you go next, because then you can know that your opponent can have the options of going to those places that are vertical and horizontal to that last placement. So it is a very quick game. I play this even with my younger sibling and she enjoys this as well. I like that it's also a variable board where you can switch up the layout so you can kind of make it a little bit more competitive or different for each game, which is very fun. So Kulami by Fox Mind Game. This is by Bruno Cathala. This is about planting your garden and you're trying to gain points. This is a tile laying game, and if you have noticed a kind of theme, I really enjoy tile laying games, and it just kind of depends on how well it's executed and how strategic it is. This is, I think, a very strategic game because you can kind of hurt your opponent's movements by placing tiles in certain areas while trying to collect gems, and then you have your own player boards which will give you different advantages by unlocking certain things. And it's a gorgeous game that you can see has a great table presence in there, and I really enjoyed, again, at a 2-player count for just the entire theme of it and the way that it is competitive yet strategic. So check out Ishtar by Bruno Cathala. Allocats. Allocats is another tile laying game. I love the theme of the cats. I have a cat, if you didn't know that. You haven't been watching my videos because she's been in some of them. Allocats is you're trying to be strategic about getting certain cats, certain colors, and you have certain objectives that you'll have cards on that will say you need to place, you know, cats all around your border of your ship, or you need to try to cover up mice, or, you know, get a certain amount of one color or family of cats. Certain colors are families if you keep them together, and all the tiles are very different shapes, so it is very difficult to try to get all of them to fit. But man, sometimes when you fit them so perfectly, it just is so satisfying. You're just like, oh man, this is so nice, they all fit and it looks so good. And then you get like extra excited because you're getting more points because the family's together, or you're able to get a specific cat in a place. That just makes this game so fun. I like that there are different boards for this too, so everyone gets their own player board with their own ship that you're trying to, you know, collect all these cats on. And on the opposite side, there are different types of boards, so different mice placements, different areas of where you're trying to cover. So it makes it more variable in that way, not only with the different sizes of cats and the different options of cats that you have, and also the cards that you get can make it very difficult. But there's also a family style version of this game that you're able to play. I haven't played that because I like more of the competitive side, but if I were to say play this with my sibling, I might just try that family style just to see if that is a game that she would like. But I enjoy this game a lot, the Isle of Cat Parks. This is a 1 to 5 player game, and this game is gorgeous. If you haven't seen this game yet or looked at some of the components, it is just an amazingly gorgeous game. Not to mention, it is so satisfying because this box is very little, but they also have, I have to just show you in case you haven't seen it, these gorgeous game trays in here that fit perfectly in the box, and the whole thing is just so genius the way it's packed together. I just have to give that a big shout out. They also have meeples in here that are different animals, so that's very cute. That, you know, just attracted me to this game when I first played it. But this game is all about trying to visit parks and gaining points, sometimes by taking pictures and photographs. You're gaining cards along the way, and you're being strategic in where you go, because once you go there, you can't go back to the same space. But also, if you go there, you're also stopping your opponent from being able to go to the same spot you are without having to extinguish their fire. So the more players you have in this game, it definitely makes it more strategic, but I still enjoy it at the 2 player count, mainly because the theme is something that just really like resonates with me. It feels like every time I play this, it's like a kind of enjoyment. It's a leisurely type of game where I'm just enjoying not only playing it, but also the views that are in the game, the pictures. I just love this game to bits. This is a game that I don't think I'll ever get rid of. Spirit of the Wild. This is a game that I got randomly when I was looking on Amazon. It had a lot of good reviews, and I was like, let me check it out. It is a game where you and your opponent, because this is a 2 player only game, where you're trying to gain certain crystals or gems and gain points by collecting certain ones. So in some of these boards, you'll see like owl, rabbit, beaver, salmon, and turtle, and the owl has certain criteria where it wants same colored pairs on here, so you're trying to collect same colored pairs, and then for some reason, if you do that, if you collect that clear almost token and put it here, you get double points for this area. Same for any of these. But your opponent also has a coyote that they're able to place on your board, and if they place that coyote, then you're not able to actually move or place any tokens on there until you move the coyote again. So it's a very back and forth type of game where you're trying to gain as much points as possible and collect certain gems before your opponent does. It's also about kind of guessing on what gems are going to be coming out and placing them on your board. But very fun, quick 2-player game. Okay, Zoo Tiles. Zoo Tiles is a 2-player only game. Now this is a game that not a lot of people heard of, so I go over it just a little bit more when I explain it. So Zoo Tiles, you have 6 zodiac signs, and each person will get 3 zodiacs. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to make them happy. So this ram right here likes to be next to horses, rams, pigs, and rabbits. So if for some reason your opponent has one of the other zodiacs and it puts it next to it, then that tile is not happy as a happy square, so you can't make it and collect those points. Once you have 4 tiles together that all like being next to each other, you collect those tiles and you gain points in that way. Now there are certain tiles in here as well that are actions that you can do that will cage certain zodiac tiles, or it'll cause them to move or cause a hindrance to the placement of some of those tiles. So a strategic game of where you're placing it, and it's kind of like you want to be reactionary but also make moves so that your opponent can't do things, but you're trying to be very strategic of where you place your tiles, because if you place them and your opponent sees where you're trying to go for, they'll try to stop that action. So you're trying to make kind of a long-term plan for a short-term win. But Zoo Tiles, I only have 3 more, guys. All right, I promise, almost done. If you made it this far, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for me, because that means that you like these recommendations, and I really hope that this helps you kind of build up your kind of board game collection, and also that it helps you understand a little bit more of the games that I like, so that you can value my opinions just a little bit more. Nagaraja. This is a 2-player only game. I covered this actually on my TikTok really quickly. You and your opponent are collecting tiles, and these tiles are actually leading you kind of like through tunnels. And when you get to a certain spot, if that tunnel leads you to an area, you're able to uncover that tile that can give you points. Now you're rolling these dice that are called Naga, and you're supposed to be getting like these dots on there that give you points. When you're going against your opponent, they'll also roll Naga, and it's kind of a majority thing where you're playing these cards to try to do movements, but also rolling these Nagaraja that you have on here. And you're trying to make it through this entire game by gaining the most points, but also trying not to uncover too many of those like cursed tokens, because if you can cover 3 cursed tokens, then that's the end of the game. Also, if you cover the entire board with tiles, if you place all 9 of them, then that also ends the game, and whoever has the most points win. So you're trying to collect those specific tiles that you want to place on your board so that you can make it to certain areas and then move them. It's like, it gives you the feeling of actually being kind of like in a like Indiana Jones type of tunnel type of thing, where you're trying to like work your way through it, but somebody else is working against you type of thing. So Nagaraja. I wanted this game for a really long time because, first of all, I love the theme of this game. I love the way it looks. My boyfriend used to work in the airline area, so I was like, this is a game that's for us. It's very cute in their design of this game. What you're trying to do is you're trying to place passengers in your specific airline, and it is very difficult. So you'll have like kids that need to be surrounded by elders, or you'll have like lovers that want to be next to each other, and then the rugby team that wants to be all next to each other as well. So you're trying to accommodate all these people on these flights, and sometimes you actually end up kicking people off because you're trying to score more points by placing specific people on there. And it's funny, it's thematic, it's very, very hard. I enjoy that because it's just funny when you're like, okay, I have these 2 children that are surrounded by this rugby team, but I have these 2 elders that would give me more points if I place them here, and so who do I kick off, or do I kick off anybody? And honestly, this game is deceptive because it makes it think that it's gonna be an easy game just by looking at it, but as cards come out and they tell you like how you can actually place it, it doesn't work out half the time. And unless you're really good with that spatial recognition of being able to say, oh, I can place these here and this is how it's gonna work, then, you know, that's gonna be great for you. Otherwise, it's just gonna be kind of chaotic like it was for me, but I enjoyed it so much when playing this because a little bit of chaos makes sense in a game when you're talking about the airlines, right? I wanna say the best for last because all of them are kind of like the best, but The Ravens of Threes Tahashri. This was gifted to me by one of my friends, and this is a great game. It has been rethemed once, I think, to another theme that I can't remember currently. So what you're trying to do, one person is trying to do specific actions while the other person is trying to communicate through, and you can't actually talk to each other during this game. So we're trying to do actions and look at each other and try to figure out what to do. And even after you lose one game, you try to create a strategy and talk to each other, and then you end up losing. But this game actually isn't actually one in one game, it's 3 games, I believe it is. So you play 1 round with these cards that are just beautifully illustrated, and you're trying to create like this heart poem with these cards by placing certain cards over another one, and some of them will give you certain bonuses. But any cards that you end up playing in this game, you won't be able to play in the second round. As you go on further and further in this game, you finish 1 round and then you lose some cards. So the better you do during the beginning of the game is going to be way beneficial to you because the second game and the third game you end up losing more and more cards and losing your ability to actually kind of get more opportunities to complete these heart songs so that these 2 can be reunited. But it is very deceptive when you look at this little box of saying, oh, it's just gonna be a quick little game, but man, this is hard. So it does come with these envelopes, and we've only opened up 1, I think. Yeah, the second one hasn't even been opened, and neither has the third one. And we've replayed this game, like, I think one day we ended up replaying it like 15 times almost. And we just kept going and going and going, trying to complete it. And we couldn't get past the second stage. So we will definitely keep playing this until we win, but it's kind of like an addiction kind of game because you're so close to winning, yet you're also so far. So you're just like, let me just do it again. I can do it next time. And you kind of don't. So great job by Osprey Games for creating this because, man, it is super fun and deceptive. And Rahdo actually did a run through of this a long time ago, so you can also check that out to see kind of how the game plays if you're interested in this. That is all the games that I have for you today of all my recommendations for 2-player games. I have been getting a lot of comments, DMs, people asking me what games I recommend for 2 players, things like that. So I hope this helps you a little bit to decide on what games that you should play. But I do recommend all the ones that are in this video. I may have more later, or my opinions may change later based on the new games that come out or whatnot. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have played any of these games, if you like these games, all that and more. Make sure to like, subscribe, and if you shared my video with others, if you know somebody who wants suggestions for 2-player games, this is a great video for them. Thanks guys, I will see you next time.